Okay, now this here is more cumulative evidence against their character and their intent. It's adjudicated fact that a person's deposition does not lie, a person or a group of persons, which includes an organization. So here you can see this vexation game here. Vexation game. Now if you take this V, of course, through Russian, which is right here, turns into the B, which is the B right there. You can take that A and leave that there, use that A, and you turn that to a leaf through Hebrew. You can't see that now because it's been ripped, but that's adjudicated fact anyway. And you get BEA, which is the Bank of East Asia, which is in Chicago, where Obama came from. And you see from my few prior videos, BEA, BT, EBT, there's AT&T. And here, this Motorola device here, you can see well, anyways, we'll get that in a second. If you can decorate this Bank of East Asia, then you get A Satan's KIA, which is killed in action, and you could actually blank out this, and it would be as a tank IA. And then, of course, you know, that runs the whole beast code there. And in this game here, we could prove again here, it's adjudicated fact that G, which of course is their cigar paper, the BET people with the cigar paper there. And they're the one, black person gave me this phone too from Walmart. Here's the B turns into that G looking symbol to Russian. And then, of course, you could go a go, and a vexation is a mind thing that you do, and a go is a killed in action, happened a go, and vexation is on the mind. You would get that AGO, that's AI, that's their AI configuration with artificial intelligence. Like they're trying to make the children computers now because their children failed themselves in war or something. And then, of course, the M and D. And that could be proven to be a Satan to a S at a N. There's the S at a N, right? Here's that M looking symbol. That's Sanskrit. That converts into the N. There's that M. And here's that D looking symbol here in Hebrew, which is the Semek. Right there, the D converts to the S. So that M and D would be another S at AN, encryption of theirs, confession of theirs. It's their deposition. I didn't make the Bank of East Asia. They did. I didn't put the Bank of East Asia in Chicago where Biden's partner Obama was funded. They did. That would then, you would then get Biden, and that of course would be, you could convert that AMID to I mad, like they're mad because their youth got killed in action because of their incompetence, so they want to make everybody else competent with their vexation game, with voice activated, which equals sound activated. And you can see these flashes on this screen right now. That's just because I have this flashlight pointed out here, and that's an electromagnetic interference. There, I established it was one of their BET members there, viewers that gave me the phone that did all the work at Walmart over here in Brunswick, Georgia, a black person. We can see here and that's connected to BET, AT&T, and Obama. Here we can see it's adjudicated fact that this phone model care, this whole incompetent owner's manual, it says nothing about any schematics of the phone. It says read me, but nothing about any schematics, nothing. Not a thing about any schematics, what the phone is, why this is happening here, why this could even happen, these lines across here. But it does say printed in China. That's East Asia, Bank of East Asia. That's adjudicated fact. It's notice here SARS, like SARS virus, and that check mark there, which is actually Winn-Dixie. That's a Win, goes like that, Win, W, N. And so that W and N, I guess that will go here. That's where this N here. And then that would be, of course, Dixie. And then motto, G, comes from quite obviously mother. When you say motto in German, it's motor, like motor, their vehicle obsession with car stereos. We can show here it's adjudicated fact that R then turns into that G, either here in Russian and or in Greek, the gamma there. So that's adjudicated fact. That was my opinion. It's all their confessions. They made this. I didn't make the name. I didn't make the name Moto. Gee, it's all their confessions. They've confessed already that they've encrypted that all. And if they're not going to show what the encryptions are, then realistically, then I have every right to demand that this is what the encryption is. It makes every sense. And you go on E, on O, that's motto, there's H has, or no H, and then the R and G. And here you would show how this encrypts the phone by putting this line here, which turns that into this Greek symbol here, phi, or no, the phi, which converts to pH. So that would then be PHO, and then of course there's that Sanskrit symbol N. So that's right here again. There's the N. There it is converted to N. So that would make this at PHON, and then of course there's the on E. And that's just way too much coincidence for that not to be legitimate encryption. Now look at how much more it's gaining frequency this is. Because this battery's going dead. Now with this battery going dead, it's causing this much more electromagnetic interference. Because the little light on the back is blinking. And then you say moto in German is motor, so that would be like motor, that's how you'd say mother. And this would actually be a reference to moto would be, their mothers would be phone sex. Because of course this G here, the way it's written on the package, it's written like this. But you can convert any G to sex, the Russian looking G, which is this over here that converts into the B, and that converts to the 6, and of course that's their SNAN, configuration with sex, 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 and then that would be their phone sex mothers. With the symbol, which is like this, the M, being the product of $2 bills. Remember, on the dollar bill, there's only one all-seeing eye on the pyramid. Well, everybody knows that everything has two eyes. So you would have to put two of them together, and there you get, there's the reason behind their symbol. Then, of course, you know, the SAN then turns into, of course, the NSA, which, of course, would be who Biden's running mate is. Work for the NSA. It's supposed to be some irreproachable entity that's got all this great power, but, I mean, how did I do this? How did I figure that out? What's that doing there? What does all that mean? Okay, now this is all the same group that are trying to say that Facebook is the technological or the tech antitrust, not these device manufacturers. But let's take a look at them. Here, this says this is all adjudicated fact too. Meets FCC SAR limit. There's that SAR again, like the SAR virus here. And if we come down here, you say additional terms and conditions and or charges may apply, which just leaves it open to anything they want to say and any kind of thing they want to put anywhere, and think that I can't do that back. Think that I don't have terms and conditions on the product's application because only they think they can empower themselves to their NSAs and their kind of governance, but they can't explain how that came down. Well, okay, whatever. And you see down here, manufactured with Dolby Technologies under license from Dolby Laboratories. Dolby, Dolby Audio, and the double D symbol are trademarks of the Dolby Laboratories. The Dolby symbol, that goes to show absolute configuration on audio. research. Dolby Laboratories. Do you know what Dolby Laboratories is up to right now? Well, the double D symbol is what they're trying to do here, take over. They're trying to claim the right to these here. This is the pharaoh. This is this is, if you have two of them, that's from the pyramid text. And that's them trying to claim that it was all them. And they have some great magics and so forth, but they don't know how that happened or how anything that. So let's see what other kind of malfeasant, contractual malfeasant entrapments they try. Like here where it says, device restocking fee may apply if return or exchange this device. That's not what the salesman told me, and nobody pointed out this thing on the box, and I couldn't actually even touch the box until he already filled out all the application, and I paid the money. He sat there with the box in front of him in the counter, took the box, had needed to use the box to program all the numbers into the computer. While I gave him the information, I never touched the box until after the whole service was already set up and sold. So then otherwise, behind that, other malfeasant legal or contractual malfeasant entrapments, you would have to open this box, which I couldn't do because he was using the box and all that stuff for all these numbers here to program the computer. Then you would have to pull this thing out of here. Then you would have to even know that there was even anything in there, because nobody showed me that before you even pulled this out and opened this up to see this, which says legal, safety, and regulatory. Which means you couldn't even do that until you got home, or you stood in the store after they finished the service contract. And then what other kind of malfeasant legalities they try to entrap you into? With malfeasant activities, malfeasant character, and sit there and claim that something like Facebook is an antitrust, when realistically it's the device systems like computers and the corporations, the major franchise corporations, that you can't get a job unless you have to use their computer. They make you have to go onto the computer and sit there for an hour per franchise in order to get a job. And otherwise, any other jobs like contract, they only hire Spanish people for. Because that's their conveyance payoff for the Spanish people smuggling the black market cocaine to bust American citizens, to keep the pensions going, the PFP racketeering, Pinkerton Doctrine racketeering, and the reclusion systems, rehabs, and detention centers going through black market cocaine sales that give them the conveyance for it, and in exchange they get cheap contracts on like their balconies and pool installations. That's adjudicated fact. You can indeed, I could get so much evidence to prove that. It's not even, I'm just not going to go all over the country and film all the contractors and film that they're all Spanish and go up and talk to them and so establish they don't even speak English. They didn't even go to school here. What sent me their confession when they were trying to make me have to subordinate to their capability to sabotage and amplify themselves over me with their car stereos and make their voice activated, sound activated hackings. And here you see they put all kinds of attempted culpability shield in front of themselves. And you wouldn't do that unless you knew you were guilty of something. Subsidize, unless you were guilty of trying to hide your culpability of any mother corporation. So it says Motorola, the style, them logo, Moto is family of trademarks of Motorola trademarks. Lenovo is a trademark of Lenovo, Qualcomm, Snapdragon. Snapdragon, that's interesting. Snap, that's like, well, that's another EBT term, snap, and where it doesn't say anywhere in here what Lenovo is, why Lenovo is in any way, shape, fashion, or form related to this product. Then it goes on to say it's a Qualcomm Technologies. Qualcomm is the same one that uses truck drivers. They do the truck driver Qualcomm units in trucks. Qualcomm, Snapdragon, Dolby, audio, and now who knows what that symbol there, that's a symbol there. So again, this is all their deposition of a combined deposition of a combined group of people. All their confession. I mean, Yeah, the confessions. Okay, now you also take notice that now those lines aren't happening. That interference isn't happening. This is a dollar store light that I'm using here. And remember, here's the Snapdragon here at Qualcomm, and here's the Snap-on. This is the light that watch. It'll cause that light interference again. See the lines start happening there? That's Snap-on, like Snapdragon. Those are polynomials, Snap and Snap. As in relation to EBT, Snap, which they knew, of course, we would need some kind of artificial battery-operated light, wouldn't they? Of course you would if you're quite homeless, wouldn't you? Snap, Snap, those are polynomial algebraic sentences, aren't they? An algebraic formula, it's polynomial, that's S plus N is algebraic vectors plus A plus P is equal to vernaculum, S plus N plus A plus P. Then on, then there, of course, drag, then O plus N, vernaculum, is polynomial to O plus N, vernaculum. So what is all that encryption? Polynomial sentential logic encryption supposed to mean? Because they sent their children off to fight at each other and fucking killed each other. I'm not gonna apologize for my language either. What, we're supposed to drag or something? And that's supposed to make their children look more like men or something? Make them happier, like they're B and D? Because that's what that would be here. If we converted this A here to the Russian symbol, then that would be B and D, wouldn't it? Well, yes, it would. Oh, and if we take this, the I-E-E-N, which is Ein, and then Epstein for one out of Biden, and German number for one, then you would get B and D too, wouldn't you? Now, double D faggots. Let's see what I do with the other D. What the other D gives me reveals about your system, your confessions. And that's what you get for the 818 too, because, you know, this is what this would be in atomic code, or that was their 818 false arrest. So, quite obviously, the Roswell goat, double S you at double N you, back and cracked your confession with an 818 back on you, with 819 coming up too. That will be okay. And you all know what happened from that. Tornado targets. D. Oh, we know where Roswell come from too. Defense Secretary Roswell, 1969. I guess that would be his goats there. Biden and what's your NSA partner there? Defense Secretary Roswell. Of course, you would have to put your little H sign in there, your little rapist sign there. Another one of your rapist encryption signs there to get your Defense Secretary Roswell goats. Oh, conveniently, 1969. There's that number 69 you like so much too, you little perverts, rapists. Now, it's shown here, as established in my prior videos, bin to say in German, which you wouldn't say unless you were teaching yourself, like through Newcastle German to English. Ich bin Laden, I am store, as in Amsterdam. So if you take the bin here out of Biden, then you're left with DE, and you put that apposition A gate in there, you will get DEA. Now, if you went over here, you can show then here that there's hamster X, that this X here, through Hebrew conversion, well, you can't see it still because that's worn out but a leaf, it's adjudicated fact, it's this X looking symbol. That would put that A there, and then this DEA would turn into med using this Russian symbol A here, looks like an A, Mexico A, converts to English D. There that is right there, converts to the D. And this, the Hebrew meme, which looks like a D, converts to an M. There it is, D converts to an M. then that's hamster X. And that just goes to show that it's all just porn, because here's where the 818 arrest came from. H-O-R, reason, that's where the word horror comes from. That's its etymology. You're not supposed to know that. It's supposed to be offensive, because just like I've established, bitch is a insider trading secret, that's supposed to be offensive, because if you recognize it, then you're breaking their codes and finding their confessions. So they just put this apposition gate between the O and the AR here, because I was decracking their confessions of raping children with thermometers, raping me with thermometers. And so over here, they could say only their systems work and only their records are, but this here, the double D over here, shows that it's Guns N' Roses. The gun was what they tried to arrest me for on 8/18, and if you take, of course, this G symbol here in Russian, and you convert it, as already established in other videos, to the B, then convert the B to the macro scale and stencil it. That's 13, that's 5, 13 plus 5 is 18 AR, and it's the IUPAC periodic table, which is what cracks their reason, the child molestation codes, and 5 from 18 is 8 over there. And then of course that's their gang bang guns, which is where you get your 6, 6, 6 from when you take the G, 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 and take that 13 out, and that's their roses. And then of course that's just all cumulative evidence that they're all just sick porn people. Oh, by the way, they don't like the Guns N' Roses. They use that reference because of the song Well, Well, My Michelle. Your mommy works in porno, now that daddy's still around. Which I wonder how many people, especially from Amsterdam, worked in the porn industry to pay for their medical school. And how many people that knew their parents worked in the porn industry that came into, decided they needed to take positions in law, in bar associations, and or did sexual things, especially in, for example, Amsterdam, Article 5 of the United States Constitution, stated we're supposed to pay some other thing, and people keep trying to say that they own this country and so forth. How many of them will pay for it to go, or did sexual thing for it, all that, to pay for their law school? But here, this Hamster X site has all kinds of B&D videos on it. I've had a girl threaten to the girl threatened to have me, quote, she's going to send 2 niggers to rape me from it. But nobody's kicking any of their doors like they were kicking my door if I was growing my own marijuana, or as they want to call it, med, for their Pinkerton doctrine racketeering. Then it becomes a self-deposing Marcus doctrine available to anticipatory nuisance of Marcus doctrine confession that the BEA and the DEA become a B&D vertical antitrust. Alright, so now to preface here that this is no different than my version of spectrography. This is space-time. I call it state potential, the ascension and the cognitive existence and the topological emergence, a sense of moments emerging by itinerary grid collapses. So this is not at all my prejudice of the author. And I could say that these are fermions and these are fermions and these are stallons. And from the stallons here, I can back engineer the message, or the space-time information, the space-time record. From here we get then here. One could say this, it might be prejudice of the author that I put this cheat up here on purpose to make the ATM, but it just makes sense. A puzzle piece fits where the puzzle piece fits. So when you put the whole puzzle out, you get this. There you could see that this would turn into menace, which follows the same logic as vexation is to menace. Same logic, to sell men a sell to cheat at ATM by selling men a tech school sell, then turns into hell, which is then here O2. and then you would get allele backwards, upside down, and this then would come out to nano. Therefore, at M there would be the puzzle piece that fits. It's just as much as a puzzle. So we come over here. This is from the Integrated Principles of Zoology, 15th edition. Here we see that allele. First of all, that is relevant because cell is vinculum, C as a algebraic vector plus E as an algebraic vector plus L vinculum is equal to C plus E plus L. And here we have cellular metabolism that goes with cell, bone. And this is Integrated Principles of Zoology, 15th edition. So here, allele means the alternative form of a gene coding for the same trait situated at the same locus in a homonymous chromosome. Well, one could say that these are cytostains of locus, the same sentence situated at different loci, than writing out straightforward, as in to say cell, men, a cell. Well, this is just a different loci. So, following our logic, we see here that ATM then would, using these tone conversions again, using the M in Arabic, or the using this symbol here in Arabic, which converts to M, it's also called the meme. While this Hebrew symbol over here is called the meme. Only one is I, one is E. So over here you can see that that looks like the P, same thing as a P, same basic tone-in topography. A circle on a vertical circle or serif on a vertical line. Then one that would convert then add M, AP, and amp. We can come back over here to this cellular metabolism, and we see here that there is ATP, which is adenosine triphosphate, and over here that there is AMP, is adenosine monophosphate. And AMP is one of the unconventional weapons they use, which is an automobile car amp, for one, to stalk people around. I know that from experience too. And it's adjudicated fact that according to Dorland's medical dictionary I don't have on me now, or it's McGraw-Hill's Dictionary of Physics, that the difference between infrasound and ultrasound is the point, I believe, I could be incorrect, but if memory serves me correctly, it's 2500 megahertz or 2500 hertz. That is the point at which damage is done to cellular tissue, live tissue. So now if we follow all these logics, this AMP, and we use this Sanskrit symbol here again, which by the way, you won't find this on the internet that easily, because that's what search, which means they're trying to hide that conversion there. There's that M looking symbol that converts into the N. Then this, once again, turns into a P or N. Porn again. So let's come back over here to this integrated McGraw-Hill, and we get multiple alleles here. Okay, multiple alleles, we got pleiotropy. So a gene whose variation influences eye color, for instance, could at the same time influence the development of other characters. An allele at one locus can mask or prevent the expression of an allele at another locus, acting on the same trait phenotype called epistasis. Another case for the gene interaction is one which several sets of alleles produce a cumulative effect on the same character. Is that like multiple character? How you say a multiple character? Cumulative effect on the same character, multiple alleles, multiple characters. Oh, personality disorders. which is what trying to force your sound on somebody else does, like through an amp, through car amps, tries to otherwise change what they would be listening to and force interactions that otherwise wouldn't happen. Especially if you're trying to B&D them and extort them for meds. What you call meds, which is really the theft of solar altruism to have your ability to grow your own meds, if you wanted to, without the imposition of law from scriveners. So now you can see here, now if we take this LL and it's on here, and we use this iridium code here, which is really iron, iridium 77, but iron is Fe, but it's really iron, so you use that code, iron 77. 77, you switch those upside down as these L's here, which in Hebrew here is the N, the nun converts to N. So we would convert these two here to N over here. And of course we would use this L is T, and we'll get to that in a minute. Then this would be, this is NA no, so it's really AN, which would be like AN, nor logic, and logic. You could add the D, and that would get antenna on. If we use the ion U pack version of directive of up, remember that this P written in Arabic as the Arabic meme would then be PAC, which would be M, and M is W upside down. So this is all cryptography, the world of cryptography. So if we take here firewall, and we take these letters out here, the ELL, that's the repetitious, sentential, logic, and sonnet networking itinerants, out of firewall, then you would get the ion to ER, because 77 minus 9 equals 68, which is ER erbium. Right there, 68. Then if you then came over here to W, which is tungsten, that's 74. That's 74. Then you would take 6 from 74. 74 minus 6 is equal to 68. That would make these two statements mathematically polynomial. And that would make this call over here, which is obviously a cellular word, call. It's in the tautonymy, the phone. And if you would, so that would be antenna on. And this would also equal whack, as in E3 AWACS, and they're the airplanes with them big round things on it, the big flying saucer UFOs on their back. They run radar, and so you could then use the code that's like in their DEA configuration of wisdom, as in like the 12-step, the Serenity Prayer, the wisdom to know. So W is to M. That would then turn that into run this circular, this circuit, this loop, circular loop of tonemes of parity and helicity to the toneme as the electron is tonemes. Since electrons are supposed to run the atomics, and the atomic bond molecules, and molecules bonding are what's in the ink in this pen here, then it would be an electric loop, and that would a W is to M. That is double whack, and then that would W is to M. The M would run through the meme. The meme would then be pack, and I view pack there. And then you could bring this down here, and you would run this. Oh, this, we use the sigma here in Greek. The Greek sigma again, which is down right there. Sigma converts to S. And then we switch these upside down again through the nun, which we've already established as N. That would be another S at AN, of course. And if you use that Russian A looking symbol there, the D, that would be D at A to there. And if you drop these down even further, then you could say that's ear, which is of course what you use an amp for. And ear, and then if you drop this F down there, then you would get fear, which would go with this conversion here, that 9 plus 68 equals 77, if you add the apposition gate A in there. You hear that? You hear how loud that amplifier is? That's car passing right there. That's them doing it again. But this is all nice and fancy, nice and fine cryptography to the simple logic that just by adding a certain element, an uncommon element, into every antenna and only keeping that element for to all receivers and only having a transmitter that has the same element to be stimulated as the transmitter would give you access to all those antennas with that same element, erbium, iridium, that no one else. So let's say this phone is a receiver and a transmitter, but if it's not wired and schematically wired for the transmitter to simulate the erbium and iridium eutectic system, then it's not going to do anything to any of those. Only if they had theirs wired to stimulate those ions from the eutectic system, would be able to then have those antenna on backdoor. Citing that just as much as these elements are then compartmentalized, so they would be compartmentalized. Therefore, the one with the antenna there wouldn't necessarily be might just be the repeater of the one who has the antenna to the back door, to the phone. Or excuse me, that car amp just might be one of their repeaters. One of the customers they sold to Parakeet there. Alright, so look here, we're in Books a Million. You see computer music, you see hardware dolls, which of course is a G-Un from Dogs in Georgia, like D-A-W-G the way it's spelled. There's code, it's all adjudicated fact, cumulative evidence. Here it says this hardware killing computer music. Killing is something you do with a G-Un. And killing computer music, like for people who just can't use their own image. They have to make some kind of fancy, flashy image for them to claim they're popular. So now, we can simply establish it's adjudicated fact that the Georgia Dogs is spelled D-A-W-G-S, and DAGS is like the United Nations, the UN. DAG Hammarskjöld Library Auditorium. So we could back engineer this by following their adjudicated fact of magic. Just advertise the magic 666. And that's supposed to be a magical number according to people. So that would G on here, the gun. And we could take this here and convert this through these tone charts and show that either A, using the Hebrew Semek and or the meme, that would turn into, using the meme, M, A, and using here for this, the shin, Hebrew shin, which is right here, converts to SH and S, that would be mash. And if we use the Semek, that instead would be saws. So now it's mash saws, it's a gangbang gun. So here it would be like they're trying to threaten you, stop or. So now if we follow this back here and continue to back engineer this to what it is, of course sounding, because it's all about sound, and it's adjudicated fact that sounding is a maritime term. Sounding, I could have gotten that picture of that magazine actually, but it's just so adjudicated fact. And all the my previous videos on DOD related things here, we would follow this. Well, let's go back up all the way up here and follow that, the idea of panic, and that's untrust. To panic is untrust, as untrust. And now panic, if you take out their code term AI, their hysteresis looping code culpability escaping to say it's some kind of artificial intelligence. Then you get PNC, which is a bank up north in New Jersey. In fact, PNC Art Center is one of the musical related places in the north of New Jersey. It was called PNC Art Center. I think it's now Giant Stadium, whatever it is. PNC Bank in East Brunswick, New Jersey. And SunTrust is here in Jacksonville, Florida. But that's as untrust. If you put that a SunTrust Bank is as untrust. And then if you put the IP add down here, dialing, sounding becomes dialing. You have to switch their code A and I around, and that would drop all this down. And of course the D is O code here comes from, of course, D to D is order something, D is O, or D is or DE, which comes from that conversion that the SMEC S converts to this sigma and Greek, both of which are S, and S continues. So the sounding gang bang gun there is that would be this DOL is Department of Labor, but it's short for dolorous, which is the measure of pain, to create pain. That's according to Random House Dictionary. That's in one of my previous videos as well. So it's sounding gay, gang, bang, guns. And I've already shown you the picture of the image of the people and this whole thing. And that would run this Dolby here. And now you could take this here and show that this G could be 6, alphanumerically converted. The stencil, the macro skill B is 13 in alphanumeric conversion of 4. We could run that through IUPAC periodic table code, and of course 6, the 4 and 13. So here, an IUPAC here periodic table conversion. There's 6, that's C, there's 13, that's AL, and then of course 4, there's BE. So now if we take them together and we put them correctly, 6, 13, 4, the way they fall out, 6, 13, 4, then you get caliper minus the IR, which is like IR on, but that's actually 26, that's FE, that's right here. But there is that IR on from my last video, from the prior video. That's 77 that runs the firewall code. And caliper, we all know, is the code term for the gun, which is what they used in Georgia to try and sabotage me and false arrest. Now, continuing this code, we can show that this SunTrust here really comes from this rape lust here. So rape lust is like, that's interesting because you can pronounce it like repel lust, which is like, you know, Panasonic. That's in my prior videos. That's the PAN as on IC with relation to 9/11s, and that would be repel US. That's a, and then you would of course re is on, A plus T is AT, and there's a T, and then that would SunTrust here. Now if you run this RAND here in Panasonic, now if you run this S here through German, which is not on this conversion chart, but there is a German symbol like this, that turns into F, and then that would be DIC with the IC out of panic, and the D from RAND, R and D, that would be FDIC, and that's who's with the PNC insurance, SunTrust insurance there. And it would be rap to porn stars, which then converts NSTAR to NTSAs. And this would be incorporate as SunTrust. Converts here. You see the R come up here. The S and the T go down there. And then there's the AU, which is the United Auto Workers, which is with the NTSA over here. So these are all just conversions over here. And this panic, quite obviously, comes from this penis. Because we can sit here and we can show that that IC converts the Russian right here, that C tone right here converts to S, as it does here, And then, of course, the A1, like as in A1A, there's all sorts of apposition gates that could make that happen. But realistically, that goes with cum dividends, because remember, I've just showed you that cum dividends is a term in cum testamento that shows the relationship to offer cum dividends for the court support for the nefarism. So what I'm looking for is a car stereo magazine to establish if the stereo intends to send a sound out of the transmitter to a receiver and establish the Dolby to Dolby connection. I mean, they had to have digital cameras. It's interesting. You can see there's Bruce Springsteen in there, Bob Ross. That's like the boss is in there. That's one of their stereos. But that's like, who's the boss? Was Melissa Milano, which is item known as to mail a note, right? Mail a note to your phone. You know, everything. Even got a CBD magazine. There's no car stereo magazines. That's fun. This is absolute sound. This is adjudicated fact that the speaker industry considers magic in relation to their product. And that's adjudicated fact that shows the show they expect their customers to want to be able to use magic. To do what? And here's Barron's Dictionary Legal Term. Establish cum testamento, annexos, and letter administration. Here, this one. Merriam-Webster's Legal Dictionary of Law. Cum testamento here is intended by will, but it's cumulative evidence to establish adjudicated fact that all the porn terminologies, cum, testi, relation to sex, are all legal terms, aesopians. You'll see here cumulative dividends. Well, here in Webster's Collegiate Dictionary. Down here, then cum means cumulative, which that's cum dividends, as in Black's Law Dictionary, 2600 Bridge Addiction. And that's all just aesopians. That's why they're supposed to be offensive, because they're code. So that'll bring us here to this principle of zoology, the 11th, chapter 11, where they show a picture of a paramycium, and there has to be then a specific Marcus doctrine, anticipatory nuisance reason why there's a polynomial between the alphanumeric algebraic vectors of P plus A plus R plus A plus M plus E and paramycium runs to paramedic when you use re C or D and in the I, and then leaves here the CUM, which is cum dividends. And cum dividends, it says here, the first reasonable evidence for life on Earth dates from approximately 13.5 years ago. The first cells were prokaryotic bacteria-like organisms. Two lineages within the ancient prokaryotes gave rise to a common ancestor of eukaryotes by symbiogenesis, a process whereby one prokaryotic lineage engulfed but did not digest cells from a different prokaryotic lineage. Here it says the eukaryotic plastids originated when a cell engulfed a photosynthetic bacterium when a prokaryotic is engulfed and modified to become a eukaryotic organelle. They say that the organelle developed via primary endosymbiosis. That's from Lynn Sagan, now Lynn Miguel, endosymbiosis theory. The chloroplasts in red algae and green algae and multicellular plants arose this way. However, in some cases, the eukaryotic cell may obtain plastids from one eukaryote. This is secondary endosymbiosis. Two similar cells may have formed very differently, so it's not easy to untangle the evolutionary relation among the diverse array of unicellular forms. So, we'll say red algae and green algae are both maritime bacteriums. That runs then over here to what would be spongias. And barnacles, as in Barney, the dinosaur. Barney calls to, of course, the Teletubbies with the little tower, windmill that sends out the little magical symbol to the big kids, the little baby there, the giggles, and then of course SpongeBob's. Alright? Now say the assemblage of eukaryotic unicellular organisms is traditionally called protozoa. The inclusion of zoa, wasn't there a Zoe popularized too? Somebody called Zoe in relation to Disney Channel? I don't know, I don't want. And the name refers to two animal-like features, the absence of a cell wall and the presence of at least one motile stage in the lifestyle. Motile means not to move, but like mobile phone, it does move, right? However, the plant-animal distinction is not easily made in unicellular forms because many motile units plant-animal. So now let's go back over here, following the grape lust. Now, the people that use these car stereos are all same archetypes that use game rolling papers. Now, we could show here by adjudicated fact that game can convert here to rape. First of all, by using that Russian symbol here. That G turns into, excuse me, yeah, that G turns into B here. That A turns into D there. That's B and D. Here's that using this Greek, which of course is fraternal language, sigma S, and then you could use this N there from Sanskrit. That would make that another S at a N, and that would make that S and M. And then if you use this either in German, G, the R conversion, or Russian, or the Greek, gamma, G from the R, then that G to GAR comes down to there. That would also then convert to bar, as in the bar association. That would be the R. Use this P here from this meme, which is Arabic. Right there, Arabic, meme. That runs this map, MAP, with the amp as in far. That would then be rape. And then, of course, if you run over here and you put now wins, pins, with rapers, then you get rappers, game rappers, and codes it. You come over here to rap R or stars, and you got to show drag goat. Ein, that's an ein, one, German one. Now if you take the R, the O, the E, and the I, and the N out, which is from protein, that goes OT in, re-P, that's pot in, the rappers, protein. And that would be a Ross protein. We'll get that in a minute. Then you get that DAG without the WN for the dogs. For that's so there must be dog bestiality they use drag goats for, as they call them, or trying to impose them, because remember, they're rapists. They're just trying to say that you're supposed to be some kind of drag, whatever. That I don't care about any of that invigoration from your society. So now we show that shows, you could go to raw star here and rap star. That goes to Ross protein. Ross protein. Right here. This is from, of course, the same glossary of the principle of duality. A protein that initiates a cascade of reactions leading to cell division when a growth factor is bound to the cell surface. The gene encoding ROS becomes an oncogene, which is a gene toward cancer, when a mutation produces a form of ROS protein that initiates a cascade even in the absence of growth factor. Even in the absence of growth factor, when a ROS protein that initiates a cascade, even in the absence of growth factor. So in the absence of it, what if you're just making all these terms and that guide the neural process this way? By making repeaters like we showed here, Zoa and Joey, making repeaters through. Barney and Barney calls. Everybody, you love Barney, everybody loves Barney, like Bernie Sanders. Everybody loves Bernie. That's programming used. And then it's interesting that here, protozoan turns to Prozac when you take that, you operate that apposition, PRO2Z, then it's Prozac, and then that would then leave the NC-ADD, which ADD is also polynomial for an acronym meaning attention deficiency disorder. Now, if you take this PRO here and use the conversion charts, you can show that it turns into M, meme, Arabic meme, G, there's the Russian, or the Russian G, or the gamma, and then of course O, which is then converts to GMO. Insider trading codes run by the court. Court-ordered insider trading codes, which all ultimately equals to a greater initiative behind the whole thing, ultimately, because here we show this says printed in China, but I mean we can show all kinds of things, say made in China, everything's made in China. Here we go. This is made in India, but imported to USA, all these things made in China, and that's unicellular. What else is made in China? The one-child rule, unicellular. And so how far does it go in demanding one-child rules? Well, it can be shown here, at least, that in this particular adjudicated fact, reference frame, the integrated principle of zoology, that chapter 6, in chapter 6 we get to multiple births, and then subsequent chapter 6 in multiple births and made in China, one child's rules, you get to the chapter 11, unicellular eukaryotes. There's all kinds of codes that are just too big to go over. I'm not going to bother with them. But now if we come over here to chapter 8, principles of development, you get derivatives of mesoderm support, movement, and beating heart. Here, finally, a specialized area of heart muscle called the sinoatrial node, SA, develops and takes command of the entire heartbeat. The role of the SA node of the excitation of the heart is described. The SA node becomes the heart's primary pacemaker. As the heart builds a strong and efficient beat, vascular channels, say pacemaker. And here, the SA abbreviation is polynomial to the SA, as in this Obama code here is established in my prior videos, FOP, PBA, SA, DMB. That's a sheriff's association, but it's quite obviously also sinoatrial node with the short PAV for Pavlovian that's been established in my prior videos. And of course, if we change the FOP here to the DOD, then that becomes the DAV, which is the disabled. I mean, if you don't change them, if you run the sentential logic, the conversions, the loci, the mutation, then it becomes DAV. So here we have pacemakers and sounding outs by rape lusting B and D S and M people that believe in one child and punishing the rest who don't comply to the law. Unicellular that don't comply to the unicellular law.